Cowboy fans, what's good? You are now rocking with the best. Believe in Cowboys. Presented by FanDuel. Jesse Holly, Roe Parrish. It is a ginormous weekend if you are a Cowboy fan or if you're just a fan of football. So many great things happening, but the entire football world at 3:25 Central, 4:25 Eastern will be focused on AT&T Stadium as the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, with all their turmoil and controversy, visit Jerry World to play the Dallas Cowboys, who are riding on an all-time high with 5 new faces on defense, and everybody's happy and saying, we got a chance, we back in this thing. All right, so I set it up. We know what's good. Jesse, you get the first word.
Man, this is Eagles Dallas week. As someone who's gotten a chance to be a part of this for multiple years, and this thing spans far before me, and it'll span far after I'm long gone. But this is just, man, I love this rivalry. This is a rivalry. We don't like them. They don't like us. Their city is trash. This is one of my favorite games of the year. As a player, this is one of my favorite games to play because there is this built-in level of football hatred that is there, that is real. It doesn't matter what side of the ball that you play on. Philly thinks we're always thinking and talking about them. Dallas thinks that Philly's always thinking and talking about us. I love the fact that you can throw records out the window. This is going to be a matchup you see twice a year, and every year it's pretty much going to be a good game. The one thing that the Cowboys have riding in their favor right now is Dak has been superb against NFC East opponents. Dak has been really good against, Philadelphia throughout the span of his career. Now, Philly does have a little bit of a win streak happening right now against the Dallas Cowboys. They're looking to go 3 straight against the Dallas Cowboys. But I just love Dallas Philly week, man, because the hatred is real. The fanfare is real, man. And you know that you're going to get a knockdown, drag out, smash mouth game of football. So I'm no longer playing in it, thankfully, because listen, at this old age, my bones can't take that type of a beating, but I'm so thankful that I'm going to be able to be a part of it and cover it. And, trust me, like you said, Ro, 3:25 Central Time, I'll be locked and loaded, on this game and ready to see these two Titans clash.
Definitely will be a clash of the Titans. You talk about Dak Prescott in his time in the NFC East. He has not lost to the Philadelphia Eagles since 2017. Overall, 21-2 in the division. That is remarkable. I will say this. It's kind of like a backhanded compliment, though, because I'll respect Dak, but you would think with that record in the division, number 4 would have accomplished so much more in the grand scheme. So it's a great stat. It's a great record. By the way, 6-1 against the Eagles in that time. However, you would think with that massive record against the division, I mean, that's something like, Tom Brady against filling the AFC East team back in the day. But Dak, like you said, he's playing lights out. He's back to what we had saw earlier in the season. And those 2 wideouts, again, we've been having this conversation since the offseason. Arguably the best duo in the league right now with George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You know what I also thought was kind of just comical? Like when you look at it, right? The Cowboys are 4-5-1 and seem to be the most happy, the most jubilant, the most together, and like, you know what I'm saying? Like rah, and we love each other. And the Eagles, who are 8-2, they can't stand each other. It's a wild parallel that the team that has been struggling all year long seems like they have just this, this forever happy spirit and happy-go-lucky spirit, despite their record. And the team that is number 1 in the NFC, number 1 in the NFC East division right now, at least offensively, there is a ton of turmoil that's going on with that franchise, and it's just. Like, if you just did records alone, you would think, if I said, which are the happier 2 teams, which are the teams that seem like they love each other a little bit more, you would think to yourself, the team that was 8-2, not the team that was 4-5-1. But nonetheless, that is the case. And, the Cowboys With their receiving duo, man, has been spectacular. George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb has done, a phenomenal job this season for this offense, and they're going to be called upon again to step up big in this game. And I know that CeeDee Lamb is just chomping at the bits to get back after this Philadelphia Eagles defense because, opening night in Philadelphia on the ring ceremony night, the banner raising night, CeeDee Lamb went off, had a great game, should have had an even better game had it not been for 4 drops that he had in that game. That would have easily probably put him over 200 yards receiving in that game, and would have probably been what was needed to win that football game. So I know that he's chopping out the bits, and now you see that George Pickens has found his rhythm and his flow. So I look forward to them really getting a chance to get off in this game, because now, barring any spitting before the game, the Eagles will probably have Jalen Carter start and play this entire game. He is a major factor in that middle. So I don't know how much of the run game of the Cowboys be able to get going, but I do know that there is a lot of possibilities through the air for this wide receiver core and Dak Prescott.
Indeed. And speaking of Dak, let me make sure I clarify my statistics properly. Dak Prescott, 21-2 at home against the division. I don't know if I said home last time. I just want to make sure for everybody listening, number one, we appreciate you for rocking with us, liking, subscribing, listening, and 6-1 against Philadelphia at home. Do remember when Philly came in and smacked up the Cowboys last season? Remember, Dak wasn't playing. So anyway, just want to make sure we lay that out there. But yes, Philadelphia got that win on ring night, a 4-point victory. We saw that CeeDee Lamb came up a little bit short, had an outstanding game up into those 4 drops that you mentioned. So there's a little bit of redemption when you talk about it on deck, when you have a CeeDee Lamb, when you have a Jalen Carter who was ejected, as you mentioned, for spitting in Dak's face pregame before the first snap. But then you also have George Pickens, who you can make the argument who didn't necessarily have his best game. Obviously, it was his first game with the team. You got to feel some things out coming in after training camp. And if it serves me correct, I don't think he played at all in the preseason. So you're coming in still figuring things out. So a lot of redemption on deck for the Eagles with Jalen Carter, but also CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens.
Yeah, absolutely right. And like I said, that's why this game is going to be such a great game, because there's so many storylines in it. There's so many guys who want to go out there and perform well. You can also add into that mix, George Pickens, when he came to the Cowboys. Well, also now you add in 2 more players who are entering into this rivalry who may not understand quite the magnitude of it. They understand rivalries, but you add in Phillips that they got in the trade. Philadelphia got in the trade with Miami. You add in Quentin Williams, who we've gotten a trade from the New York Jets. While they both understand what a rivalry is, they've never been a part of this one. So interjecting both of those 2 guys into this mix, it's just so many different parallels of storylines within this game that I honestly, and these are all names that play a major role, that will have a say-so in the determining factors of this game. Jordan Phillips is going to have a deciding, say-so in this game. Quentin Williams is going to have a deciding say-so in this game. The George Pickens that's been a part of this team will have a deciding factor. The Jalen Carter, all these guys will have their chance to put their stamp on this game, and that's what makes this game so beautiful, because you know the names, you know what's all at stake. For the Philadelphia Eagles, they want to continue their trek on trying to repeat as Super Bowl champions, and for the Cowboys, this will be the biggest win of their season, and this will give them a little bit more hope and keep their playoff hopes alive. They're on life support right now, bro. They lose this game to Philadelphia on Sunday afternoon, and you about all just said bye-bye to your opportunity or chances to go into the playoffs. You win this game, and there is a renewed life that is injected into the Cowboy team, the Cowboy fan base, and the possibilities. Now, they'll say that it's only still a 12% chance that the Cowboys make the playoffs, but you beat this Philadelphia team at home, and if you just so happen to beat them handedly, that's going to go a long way in how people feel about this team going forward.
Indeed. Now, you say it will be the biggest win. Not going to argue with you there at all, because that is the obvious. Because when you look at the Cowboys' victories, they have wins against the Raiders, the Giants, Commanders, and Jets. So just if you're scoring at home, that's 0-4 and 1 versus teams with winning records. So they haven't beat a team yet with a winning record, but they're 4-1 against teams with losing records. So anyway, all that to be said, this would be a huge victory. And you talk about Jalen Phillips that comes over for a third rounder, acquired from the Dolphins, coming to Philadelphia, being a part of the rivalry for the first time. That is one thing. But then when you talk about Quinnen Williams, who comes over, obviously you can say he might have been a part of some different rivalries playing for the Jets, whether that be against the Patriots. They have their own rivalries over there. However, this is clearly a little bit different. When you think about him and the game plan and the strategy, with everything that's going on with Lane Johnson being out, the all-world offensive lineman for the Philadelphia Eagles, what type of advantages will Quinnen Williams have seeing that Lane Johnson is going to be out?
Well, it weakens their offensive line, right? I don't think there's too many matchups with Quinnen and Lane, because Lane plays a right tackle, Quinnen plays more of the interior defensive line. But what happens is now, because the Philadelphia Eagles, what they've done a lot on their offensive line, especially trying to get the running game going and then max protecting when it comes to Jalen Hurts passing the ball, they go in a lot of what we call tackle eligible. They bring another tackle in as another blocking / tight end. You know, they got to come in and report to the referee that he's in there. They run a lot of 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight end sets, because they're trying to help that offensive line, who's been banged up all year long, kind of just secure blocks a little bit longer for Jalen Hurts and maybe some running rooms for Saquon. Where Quinnen Williams comes into play is now you have to start saying, okay, where are we going to double, right? Because what they do now to the Cowboys defensively, they're going more 5-man front. So it's basically man on man, which is now allowing Osa and Kenny Clark and now your edge rushers to be more one-on-one coverage. So how does that help? Well, Quinnen now gives that pressure in the middle, and now whoever the backup tackle will be on the right side in place of Lane Johnson, you now have to go up against Donovan Ezeraku, Jadeveon Clowney, and whoever else they put out there on an island. And your hope is that whoever the backup is, that you're able to get pressure and win some one-on-one matchups, because the attention is being paid to those interior guys, specifically Quinnen Williams. And so now Houston and Fowler and Ezeraku and Clowney, when those guys are on those edges, that they're able to tee off, and that those edges get a little bit more shorter because you had to kind of pack down and condense that middle of the defense, because number 92, Quinnen Williams, is in the middle wreaking havoc.
No question about it. Obviously, you talk about Lane Johnson on the outside, Quinnen on the inside, but the whole part of the game plan, I'm pretty sure, is to expose the absence of Lane not being there, along with the other injuries that they have, and to be completely disruptive up front, seeing the success the Cowboys have had getting to the quarterback, whether it be with sacks or pressures over the last couple of games. Now, I'm also looking at the fact that when you talk about Lane Johnson, of course, he's such a big part of their offensive line, and he's a contributor to success. I saw the crazy record. It's like 120 and 62 when he plays, and 15 and 24 when he doesn't. So obviously he plays a major role, and the offensive line problems is probably a reason why Saquon Barkley's not averaging 6 yards a pop like he was last season. Maybe why the protection hasn't been the same for Jalen Hurts to find a sometimes disgruntled A.J. Brown who wants a bigger role and clearly does not bite his tongue when it comes to speaking to the media. But there's so many different holes. And you talked about it earlier when we opened the show. I don't want to say dysfunctional, because clearly there's a reason why they've had success. They've gone to essentially the core of this Eagles team has gone to 2 Super Bowls over the past 4 seasons, and they've had a ton of success. However, we've seen during the season, each time there's been a little bit of, this and that here and there, a little bit of drama. So all that being said, I'm making this a very long question when I shouldn't. But just looking at this Philadelphia offensive side only, what holes do you see, and how can Dallas exploit the problems that they do have offensively?
I mean, of course, we talked about it, the absence of Lane, right, and that offensive line. Outside of that, I mean, Dallas got a damn good tight end A.J. Brown, Pro Bowl wide receiver. Devontae Smith, Pro Bowl wide receiver, one of the best route runners in the league. Saquon Barkley, while the numbers may not be there, he's still Saquon. Like he ain't fall off, right? Like
wait, hold on a second. Hey, you heard what A.J. Brown said, right?
Yes.
Hey, you might have said that, but he said Saquon ain't the same. He said that about his own teammate.
Well, he was because they were asking him about, like, you know, are you the same player that you were a year ago? He was like, are you saying Saquon ain't the same either? Because all the numbers are down across the board. And so, like, that's the thing, is that a lot of the numbers are across the one glaring weakness on that offense. And this is the part of what kind of, you know, that AJ is saying without saying is our quarterback got to be better. Our quarterback has to be better. Because I'm hearing AJ, I'm watching the film, and I'm saying, oh, I see why AJ is upset, because AJ's not, a lot of what AJ is saying is not kind of, he's not TOing it saying, give me the damn ball. Keyshawn Johnson is saying, give me the damn ball. He's more so saying, we talking about this. I know we practicing this. It's in the game plan, but we get to the game and it ain't happening. And the offense that we're producing is not winning offense. Our defense has been bailing us out, but our offense should be so much better. And a lot of that falls on the shoulders of Jalen Hurts, who is a very, very risk-averse quarterback. He doesn't want to put the ball in dangerous situations, so he's not taking a lot of those throws. He's very meticulous about where the ball is going. He'll check it down. Jalen Hurts is okay with punting the ball away. He's not that guy that's trying to have an arrogant arm talent. He's not the guy trying to fit the ball in between three defenders and, you know, give his guy a shot. Jalen Hurts is like, if you ain't really wide open, I ain't really throwing a go route, I ain't really trying to risk the ball being intercepted. And hence to why he has only one interception on the season. But this offense is so basic, man. I'm watching it, and as I'm watching them play against Detroit last week, it looks so very reminiscent of the days when Jason Garrett was here in Dallas, where it was very simple routes, slants, curls, hitches, go routes. And I can tell you, I was on some of those teams under Jason Garrett, and defenses were calling out our running plays. I mean, our passing plays, like, hey, he +2 on the numbers. He's running the Harvey route. He's running this route. They're running, and that can be frustrating to a receiver, because he's like, damn, bro, you know, if they know it, that tells you all that you need to know. So that's what the frustration there. So the hole that has been the glaring hole on this this Philadelphia Eagles defense has been Jalen Hurts just hasn't been what he just hasn't been a top 10 quarterback where you want him to be with that level of talent. Like, you got dogs. Like, you got dogs all across. You got a dog in the backfield. You got two dogs in the wide receiver. You got a dog in the tight end. You know, for the most part of the year, you had an offensive line that's really good, and you just haven't elevated. You haven't elevated your game. With all this surplus around you, Jalen Hurts hasn't elevated his game to a place where he gets talked about amongst the greats in the league.
Well, all that said, and everything you said is spot on and accurate. When I look at Jalen Hurts, we know that he's the son of a coach. He's always played a certain way. Other than that 1 year at Oklahoma, he's never been the super air it out type quarterback. But like you said, I like the phrase that you used, risk averse. We see the turnover numbers are low, and we also see that the Eagles are sitting atop of the NFC at 8-2. So while he hasn't necessarily elevated his game individually, collectively, the Eagles every week, for the most part, although it's the defense, a lot of times the Eagles still figure out ways to win ball games playing this style. Now, it's not always aesthetically pleasing, but at the end of the day, you get a 1 in that win column.
Yeah, and that's the thing I believe that has kept this whole team together, right? Because if it was 4-5-1, folks would be in there like, that mother can't do nothing. Yeah, it'll be a lot more aggressive, but it makes it very difficult when you look at it from the even the micro and the macro situation. You go, we are 8-2. We are 8-2. We are number one in the division. We're number one in the conference. It makes it very difficult to really gripe and moan about a lot of different things when you're at the top right now. But we also remember when they were 10-1 2 seasons ago, and they just collapsed at the end of the season. So I don't know if that's on the horizon or if that's there, but there is something that is there. And winning, whatever that's there that is ready to implode this team, the winning is keeping it at bay. The winning is the thing that has kept the landmines in that locker room from really just being stepped on and blowing up. That the winning does that. And so as long as you can keep winning, and you win, if they win this Sunday in Dallas, it'll still be at bay. Some guys may not like their production numbers, but they'll go, you're 9-2. You know what I'm saying? You're pretty much won the division, right? Because if you beat the Cowboys, you pretty much then won the division. And that'll be the first time that a team has went back-to-back winning the division in almost 20-something years. So
20 years even.
Yeah, it's another accomplishment, and that kind of almost puts you really in the driver's seat of maybe getting the number one seed in the NFC. So it's winning has kept all of the combustible things from truly catching fire in that locker room.
FanDuel presents it. It's called Believe in Cowboys. Ro Parrish and Justy Holly. Just looking at everything. We know how it goes when it comes to Vegas in this show. Right now, the Cowboys right now are favored to be the first team to score, -110. And Justin, we talked about the offense. We talked about the defense. Talked about Jalen Hurts. We talked about Dak. Which team do you think has the better chance to score first in this game?
I do think the Cowboys, and the reason being is because of Brandon Aubrey. I think inside the dome at home, we're talking about Brandon Aubrey being almost perfect from 50 plus, right? And so, even if the game kind of doesn't start out with a lot of prolific highlights and up and down the field, I think Brandon Aubrey, once you get to midfield, he's like Steph Curry, you in his range. You know what I'm saying? So right. I think for that matter, I think scoring first feels really good with the Cowboys because at home, in the dome, Brandon Aubrey's leg gives you a chance to put points on the board. And by the way, I think that's going to be imperative in this game. Whenever I don't think this is one of those games, at least early on, where Shoddy needs to be uber aggressive. If there's 3 on the board, take them. Take it, because I don't believe this is going to be a game. Points will be at a premium in this game, in my opinion. And so anytime you can get points, I think you take them and you make them, you don't give them an opportunity to stop you, and you make them consistently drive the ball down the field and not give them short fields. So I don't believe this is one of those games where he has to be uber aggressive, but Brandon Aubrey is definitely a cheat code, and he could be the determining factor in this game.
Yeah, I heard recently that Shoddy had said that when he's on the sideline and they're in those situations to where you have to choose between being aggressive or conservative, he can always hear his dad saying to him, take the points. And clearly, obviously, when you're playing against the Raiders, you might roll the dice a little bit because you're in Vegas and you know how things go. So, yeah, when I'm looking at this right now, and we haven't really touched on this in this episode, but you've been around the facility. Obviously, there's players, coaches, team personnel still mourning the loss of Marshawn Nealon. And appears to me, just watching from the outside, looking in, that the Cowboys have emerged better, more united, post-trade and post-tragedy. Just give us your thoughts on that statement and then your overall view of the vibe at the facility.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think that has unified them even more. That has brought them together even more. You see, as you go out throughout the facilities, and I get to go through the cafeteria every day that we share with the players and the staff, and there's always boards. There's a LED board that kind of gives a schedule out of what's happening in that day, and you'll see different things on that board about like brother luncheons and check-ins and all that kind of stuff, where they're doing more things now to make sure that they're consistently checking on one another. So that has unified this group. They're playing as Dak would tell you, the one love. They're playing each game, each week for Marshawn Leland and in his memory. So a lot of those things have galvanized this group and brought this group together. Tragedy has definitely bonded them even more. And you see it. You see more guys hanging around each other. You see more guys like in groups. I mean, hell, 2 of them was late to a game last week. As I tell you all you need to know about the unity and bonding that they have going on. They're like, listen, if you gonna get in trouble, I'm gonna get in trouble with you. And we can laugh and joke about that, but that is those are the type of things that you see happening in this locker room. And so that is permeating throughout the building. The energy is back good in the building again. Of course, winning against the Vegas Raiders in the way that they did, that winning cures a lot of things. Winning makes a lot of things better to deal with. And so the energy in the building is good. Guys are healthy. And everyone now excited to see this group go back out there again. So that feels like everyone's like, man, I can't wait to see this defensive group together again. I can't wait to see, Overshown in game 2. I can't wait to see Rebel in game 2. I can't wait to see Quinnen get back out there again. So that energy is so high right now amongst the whole building is feeling that energy of positivity going on right now.
Indeed, that they should. It is Believing Cowboys, Ro Parrish, Justy Holly, presented by FanDuel. We appreciate you all for liking, listening, and subscribing. And since you brought it up, I wasn't going to say anything, but since we're here, you talked about CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. Now, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And we don't need to touch on the multiple reports about who they were with, what they were doing, what time they might have been seen. We're not going to touch about their whereabouts that, resulted in that first possession punishment. All I will say is this, especially coming off the Cowboys documentary that we watched in the offseason. I want to give kudos to those two for being on brand with what so many remember from those 90s Cowboys. Work hard and, baby, play hard. I ain't mad at it.
Listen, CeeDee came out this week and kind of spilled the beans about all that was happening in that. And the thing that I found the most funniest was when CeeDee came out. He really came out because it wasn't because he wanted to justify where they were. It wasn't because he wanted to give you a better understanding of what they were doing. No. And this goes right on brand. CeeDee wanted to come out and justify, I wasn't throwing up. I can hold my liquor. And I'm just like, wait, that is the funniest part to me. He's like, I don't want y'all out here thinking, no, not to think that you're an insubordinate employee. No, not to think that you are a problem child. I don't want y'all to think, he don't care about none of that. What CeeDee wants you to know is that whoever the hell said they saw me throwing up is a lie, because I can hold my liquor. And I thought I said, that's the year in 2025 that we're living in, where they're like, man, you can say whatever you want about me, but make no mistake about it, you ain't going to call me a lightweight when it comes to this liquor. And CeeDee came out and said, yeah, ain't no throwing up over here. 88 can hold his liquor.
And speaking of 88, I'm pretty sure, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm pretty sure another former 88 heard what CeeDee had to say, and he couldn't help but crack a smile and say, that's my boy.
That's my boy. You absolutely know it. You absolutely know it, because we know that 88 would go out all night and be ready to go the next morning like it was and that's what he did. And CeeDee and George, whatever they did the night before, they had enough time to sleep it off and came out there and went to work against the Vegas Raiders.
Absolutely. And, as the only person that went on the record on the documentary to talk about the White House, you got to give it up for the playmaker, man. Gotta love Michael Irvin. And one quick story I'll interject. And I grew up obviously in the Dallas Metroplex, but all the college teams sucked. So I ended up being a Miami Hurricane fan and Florida State too, because when I was young, every time I turned on the TV Saturday morning, it was Florida State or Miami whooping the dog bleepity bleep out of somebody. So saying all that to say, ended up becoming good friends with a lot of the Hurricanes over the years. Shouts out to Adoree. That's one of my best friends. Shouts out to Reggie Wayne. And one thing I always like to talk to those guys about is like, dude, y'all kicked it so hard. Like, I've hung out with some of y'all, and like the level at which you guys played, but I know what you guys did the night before. Like, you know, it was cool to watch growing up to see, but then like to actual experience some of the stuff that y'all do, and then y'all actually showed up the next day and played at an all-pro level. Got to give it up. And I say all that to say, and you can pick it up, but Reggie said that, and we did this on camera, so there's no hidden nothing, but he was like, we all held each other accountable. Mm-hmm. That was the biggest thing. If we kicked it hard, when it showed up, we had to show up in the weight room the next morning or the game, we were all going to hold each other accountable.
Yeah, no, and the famous saying is, how you do anything is how you do everything, right? So it's like, if we're going to party hard, then we're going to play hard. You know what I'm saying? If we're going to hang out, we're going to show up the next day too. So that's been the culture of those guys. And I'm like I said, I've hung around some of those same type pro level guys, and I've been amazed at, like, I don't know how, you know, and Michael Irvin's one of my really, 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 really good friends. And I've hung out with Michael, and I'm just like, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how. I'm 2 hours into hanging out with you, and I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to go. And he's like, we just getting started. I'm like, I ain't gonna make it. All he had to do was go in the steam room and then, you know, get a couple Gatorades and be the playmaker. It's some dudes are just built different. And that's all you can say. Some dudes, because me, if I went like, I need 6 days to recover. Some dudes like, I just need a nap. They different.
Definitely different. Hey, it is a different podcast. Believe in Cowboys, Ro Parrish, Jussie Holly, presented by FanDuel. Now, offensively, we talked about CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens off the field. Let's bring it back on the field, because apparently there's some defensive mismatches that Dak and the pass-catching corp want to expose when it comes to Philadelphia. We know that they got 2 decent cornerbacks or very solid pros, but then there's another cornerback that they might be targeting on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, you know, the one that's the real player is Quinyon Mitchell, right? Number 27, I believe he is. Yep. Quinyon he's a dog, right? He's a dog, and then of course you talk about Cooper DeJean and what he's done. He played a lot more in the slot. The one mouse in the house, or the barbecue chicken of that defense, is number 8, Adoree Jackson. Find him early. Find them often. This is the guy that they have to go out and attack in the passing game. Now, I'm not saying run from Quinyon Mitchell, because Quinyon Mitchell can still, he can get done up too. But I'm also saying that, hey, make life easy on yourself, right? Line up George, line up CeeDee, line up whoever over there on Adoree Jackson, and whoop up on him a little bit throughout the game, and make Vic Fangio change it up, right? Make him have to go. Because if you remember back to that Philadelphia game, they had Quinyon start out on Pickens, and then CeeDee Lamb got to cooking. And they said, oh, well, all right, Quinyon, you got to go back over here and deal with CeeDee Lamb. And then they let, you know, now that's when George was still trying to find his way through here, and now he's fully immersed into this offense. So it's pick your poison, but make sure that you're shooting all your arrows and darts at Adoree Jackson and allowing him to be the place where you go a lot. Like, because teams do it to us. When teams find out they have a mismatch somewhere, they attack it. So Adoree Jackson is the one guy on this defense where he can be picked on. He should be picked on. It is proven that he can be. Even when I remember Adoree Jackson was with the Giants. We worked on him when he was with the Giants. So you just changed the uniform, my guy. The same thing still remains. We still coming at you. And I'm sure, I'm positive that Brian Schottenheimer has something in the game plan where they're looking over there to attack. Now, mind you, like he'll play the wide side of the field, meaning the field with the most area around. Quinyon usually plays the boundary, the short side of the field. So you have more space to deal with Adoree Jackson. So do as you please with him out there. Take your turns with him. Allow George to get a little bit. Allow CeeDee to get a little bit, but Adoree Jackson should be the guy that they look at and go, hey, mouse in the house, go find number 8.
Indeed, the Cowboys looking to exploit those weak spots in the secondary, especially if you wear number 8. Speaking of number 8, shouts out to Troy Aikman. As we record this podcast, it is his birthday today, so we're shouting out all the legends and the greats that have won Super Bowls for the Dallas Cowboys. Speaking of Super Bowls, we know that the Super Bowl champions are coming to town. over the next 4 games, it's about to be wild. This is that crazy stretch that we've been talking about from the preseason, the beginning of the season, and to now as it is finally arriving. The next 4 opponents won 14 games apiece last season, and for the most part are still contenders this season. But like coaches always say, one game at a time. Of course, we're brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, the Eagles are the favorites by 3.5. So, I mean, straight up, it's that time. I got to ask you, Jesse, who do you got? And is it a big victory? Is it a small victory? What do you see happening on Sunday?
That's funny. One of my best friends' names is Jelly. But yeah, man, this is one of these games, man, where it honestly go either way. And as I watched film all week and tried to break this game down, and I looked at this thing, man, and the Cowboys, yes, they have put in and company and has given this defense a much better look. I don't think the Oakland Raiders against this defense is going to be the same against Philly and this defense. I do believe that Philly is a better football team overall, not just record-wise. I just think from top to bottom, they are a better overall football team, even with the additions that we made. I think it's a tight football game. Wouldn't be surprised either way that it went. But I do have Philly winning this game at AT&T Stadium slightly. I think earlier I picked the score to be 24-21 Philly.
Okay.
They find a way in the end. They find a way in the end to pull out the victory.
So basically, you have the same score essentially that we had opening night, as the score was what, 24-20 that night. Me, on the other hand, this is a rare occasion to where I'm going to go out on a limb because I'm low-key, and I know it's not the Raiders that the Cowboys are facing, but the new look defense all season long, for the most part, everybody that's a Cowboys fan or pays attention to football, we don't need the defense to be great. We just need the defense just not to be trash. If you can just be halfway decent and maybe get a stop here and there, get a turnover for us to take away, this team might have a chance. So I'm buying the new look defense. I'm also buying the fact of how dominant Dak has been at home. And going back to something that you said earlier, we know that the NFC East, somebody's going to win it every year. And it's game. Something tells me that there could be something special in the air right now. We'll find out, of course. I know that the Eagles are champions, but I think that it's going to be a close game. But this Cowboys offense versus the Eagles defense, that's the primetime matchup that I think everybody wants to see, myself included.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you right there. It's gonna be a sight to see, and everybody have to bring their big boy pads because it's gonna be a slugfest. And again, you don't have to add more sauce into this game. Everybody hates each other, right? Everybody doesn't like each other in this game, and so they're going to be, Cooper Beebe and Tyler Booker, because Tyler Booker, you didn't get a chance to see Jalen Carter the first time around. He didn't get a chance to see you. Buckle up, right? Quinnen Williams, you I don't know how often you saw and dealt with Saquon Barkley. Buckle up, right? Logan Wilson, buckle up. It's getting ready to be. And I think one of the things that the Cowboys have to be very aware of is not Saquon the runner, it's Saquon the pass catcher. That's going to be critical because if the Cowboys are going to go 5-man front, and then I'm assuming that using Overshown as the spy on Jalen Hurts, because that's a key factor, that Philadelphia makes you play 11-on-11 football because of the legs of Jalen Hurts. You don't get to play 10-on-11, right? Eagles defense gets to play 10-on-11 because Dak's not a runner. His threat of running the football is not really there. But on the other hand, if Overshown is now spying Jalen Hurts, then who's left to cover Saquon Barkley in space, in the flats? Is that Kenneth from Oklahoma? Is that Logan Wilson? Is that Maris Leofau? Is that Marquise Bell playing that star role? I don't know. But I do know that Saquon in space is a headache. And the one guy who I would believe would have enough shiftiness, strength, and ability is Overshown. But I think they're going to be using him to kind of keep an eye on Jalen Hurts in that backfield. So It's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be a fun game. I know that we will be entertained on Sunday.
Yeah, we will. I mean, I'll think back to that Monday night rock fight between the Eagles and the Packers a couple of weeks ago, and everybody was held in check offensively until late in the game. Hurts found Saquon out there in the flat. He hit that B button. He was gone. So, like you said, Saquon the pass catcher, looking forward to seeing it either way. Listen, I just want to be entertained at the end of the day. I really could care less. I don't have any action on the game. I'm just going to tell you who I think is going to win, but I just want to see a great game, and I think that's what's going to happen.
Without a shadow of a doubt, that's definitely going to happen.
No question. Well, hey, we appreciate everybody for locking in with us. It's FanDuel presenting Believe in Cowboys. Ro Parrish and Jesse Holly. Hey, Jay Holly, leave the people with some good words before we get out of here.
Hey, man, have a good week. Have a good weekend. Hey, don't add to the population. Don't take away from the population. And always understand, you get in trouble tonight, you ain't seeing that judge until Monday. So be careful, be safe, take care of one another, man. And remember, always eliminate the contingencies.
Yes, indeed. Love, respect, and salute.